Hey, everybody, this is my Multifamily Investing Academy podcast. And today I have another attorney with me. And you know what I say? And let's see if Garrett knows what I'm saying. And by the way, it's Garrett Sutton is here with me today. Say hello, Garrett.
Hello there.
Hello. Garrett is a Rich Dad advisor. He's a nationally acclaimed corporate attorney and asset protection expert, which is what we're going to quiz him on today's podcast. Okay, so we have a baker's dozen of questions to ask him, and we're going to get through it fast. But I'm going to tell you right now, folks, that we get so many people out there telling you exactly what you can do. I mean, Garrett's at the top of his game, so I'm even going to learn from Garrett. And you know how hard that is for me to do, because I usually try to play stump the professor all the time. But and Garrett, what do you get when you have two lawyers in the room?
A disagreement?
No, three opinions. So that's how you do it. Now, hold on one second here. You're a graduate of University of California, Berkeley. So you're out there with the liberals. Okay, we understand that. I'm here in New Hampshire, where live free or die. But you went to, let me just make sure I get this straight. You went to University of California's law school in San Francisco. That's not University of San Francisco's law school.
No, the University of California has their own law school in San Francisco called Hastings Law School.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. All right, because my daughter is at University of San Francisco.
Yeah, and USF is about 2 miles away near the park, and they have their own law school.
Right. All right, let's get started, because I get these questions all the time, and I'm licensed to give the advice. But as I always tell my students, I am a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. You're going to hire a lawyer. So, and one of the things that we always come up on is they're asking me, well, can you draft my documents? I said, nope. I don't do that. So let's give Garrett the baker's dozen of questions. Okay. Oh, I see one of them down here I really like already. Why do you like LLCs? Okay, I tell you what, I had this game one time before with Paul Morse, and he had 7 reasons why multifamily is not a good investment right now, or something to that effect. And I started off, I said, well, I'm gonna give you your chance to make your 7 points, and I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong on all of them. And it was a lot of fun because it turned out we agreed on everything. So let's play the same game here. Why do you like LLCs to hold the real estate and brokerage accounts?
Well, Charles, if you hold assets in your individual name and you get sued, someone can reach those assets. If you hold a duplex in your individual name, a tenant sues, they can not only reach the equity in the duplex, but all of your other personal assets. The LLC creates a firewall, right? So if the tenant sues, they're leasing from the LLC, their claim is against the LLC. They can get the equity inside the LLC, but they can't go beyond the wall of that LLC and get at your other assets. So that's why I like the LLC for holding real estate as well as brokerage accounts. The same rules apply to brokerage accounts. If you get in a horrific car wreck and someone's going to go after your assets, if the LLC is set up before the accident, they're going to have a tough time getting at the brokerage assets if we set up in the right state.
Okay, I'm going to give you a C on that answer because you didn't. You're right in the bell curve.
I'm above sea level.
Don't worry, Garrett. You're gonna graduate. Yeah, you're above sea level. You're gonna graduate. But truth is, I asked Garrett to put these questions together for me, so he wrote these questions, and he didn't answer his first question correctly. And let me just explain why. That wasn't the answer. You're right, but I was looking for the question more like, why do you like limited liability companies? Do you prefer an LLC over a corporation, over a partnership? Like, what's your preference and why?
I like LLCs, Charles, because they offer the best asset protection, and the corporation doesn't offer superior asset protection like an LLC does. So hopefully that gets it up to a C+.
Okay, I'm letting you get some extra points in this one.
Good.
One of the things I love about the LLC is its flexibility, and that you can design it so many different ways depending upon your situation.
Absolutely. With an LLC, you can choose how you want to be taxed. You can be
Okay.
taxed as an S Corp, which is great if you have payroll. You can be taxed as a C Corp if you want to pay for health premiums as an expense. And you could be taxed as a partnership or a disregarded entity. So you have a lot of flexibility. You can't do that with the LP or with every corporation.
Exactly. So that actually is, you're answering question number 3, but let's dig into that a little bit more. The question is, should my LLC be taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp? And let me just tell you something. I just recently hired a tax attorney who's doing my books and everything. And she looked at my whole entire situation, and she came up with a whole strategy. And one of the strategies that she came up with that no other accountant had ever told me I could or should do is tax my LLC, set up my LLC as an S Corp because of payroll.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. Like, and a little inside baseball here. She had me take an online test to figure out what all my typical duties are in the course of a day. And I hit the enter button, and it comes back and says that based upon my duties, I should be paid $90,000 a year. And I said, well, what are you getting at here? That doesn't make any sense to me. She goes, no, that's good. That's very good. I said, why is that good? She goes, because if we get audited, we can, we're going to set you up in the payroll as $90,000 a year, and everything else is going to be a distribution. And so, but we're going to be able to justify that $90,000 a year income based upon the duties that you perform. I'm like, I can do that? I never knew. So explain to me exactly from your standpoint how that works, but also talk about this concept of a disregarded entity and how we can use that as well and how we should be using that.
All right, well, let's first talk about the payroll tax issue.
Yeah.
And, you've got to pay payroll taxes because you own the business and you're the main employee. You've got to pay 15.3%. You've got to pay both halves of the payroll tax.
Yep.
And so if we can reduce the payroll tax from right now it's 130,000, you got to pay the 15.3% of salary. If we can reduce from 130 down to 90, that's $40,000 we're saving. And at 15% every year, what's that? $6,000 a year?
Yeah. 4,000.
Is that right?
Yeah. 4,000. Yeah. About $6,000.
$6,000 every year, year in and year out, that you can save by having your LLC taxed as an S Corp. Otherwise, if we taxed it as an LLC taxed as a partnership, or if you acted as a sole proprietor, all that income would be subject to payroll tax.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the S Corp taxation is great for people operating a business, and you can use an LLC and be taxed as an S Corp and have all those savings.
And the thing is, it was so simple. She just sent me the form already pre-filled. She already done it for me. And we just filled in, I just signed it, and one piece of paper, and it changed. I saved $6,000 a year.
Right.
It was unbelievable. No one told me I could do it that way.
Well, she definitely gets an A.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
She's professor emeritus of the Multifamily Investing Academy. So now talk to me about a disregarded entity. What do you mean by that exactly?
All right. If we have an LLC that is owned by one person, a one-member LLC, we can, instead of doing a K-1 and filing a federal tax return, the disregarded entity says the LLC income flows onto your personal return. You don't have to file a separate federal return. Yeah. So this works really well when, for example, we have 3 LLCs owned by one Wyoming LLC. The 3 LLCs are on title to properties across the country, and the one owner is the Wyoming LLC. So the 3 LLC title holding entities are disregarded entities. We don't have to file a separate federal tax return for them. Everything flows into the Wyoming LLC. Now, let's say, Charles, you own the Wyoming LLC. Everything flows from the Wyoming LLC onto your personal return. Yeah. So it's a great way to save on tax returns. And at the same time, we don't lose any asset protection. You're still an LLC, deserving of asset protection.
This is, you answered the question. You're back up in the game. You still might be the valedictorian of this day. And just so you know, I think it's important that I explain to you that I actually had the highest passing score in the history of the Massachusetts bar exam.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty
And
good.
so how'd you get the test ahead of time?
Oh, no, yeah. No, that's a good one. I appreciate it. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll have to use that one next time. But no, it was a pass-fail test. So
good.
Yeah. So I got the highest passing score possible.
Nice.
Yep. Along with like 1,000 other people that day. So, all right, here's another great question. And this I get all the time. Is what state should we set this up in? And you and I are going to go around and around on this one. So let me hear your story.
Okay, well, the previous example, we had 3 LLCs, one owned in Massachusetts, let's say one's in Ohio, one's in Utah. We set up an LLC in those states because that's where you're doing business, that's where you're collecting rents, right? And if the tenant sues on an inside attack, Massachusetts law applies, right? The claim is in Massachusetts, you're in a Massachusetts court.
Right.
We like to set up the Wyoming LLC that holds the other 3, is the owner of the other 3, because if you get sued in the outside attack, which has nothing to do with the real estate, you get in a car wreck. Someone wants to get at your assets. They want to get at those 3 LLCs, but the 3 LLCs are owned by the Wyoming LLC. So they have to fight through the Wyoming LLC on the outside attack. This is where the state comes into play. On the outside attack, they sue you after the car wreck, and hopefully you have insurance. But let's say they want to go after your
let's everybody explain how the process really works here, so they all know what we're talking about. Let's say I don't have insurance, and I get in an accident, and I am found liable. It goes through the whole entire court system, and there's a judgment against me.
Right.
So we've taken care of the whole court system. I am found at fault, and now they have to come after me. And there are some attorneys out there that are very good at what they do, and their job is to go after and find your assets. And so that's what we're talking about right now. Is I've already got $1 million. I owe $1 million somewhere, and they're going to come after and find that I am somehow associated with 4 LLCs.
Right. And if you held those properties in Massachusetts, Ohio, Utah in your individual name, they would have no problem getting at those assets.
Yeah.
Easy. But by having those 3 LLCs owned by the Wyoming LLC, they have to deal with Wyoming law. And Wyoming law is one of the best asset protection laws in the country, along with Delaware and Nevada. Now, you have a choice. You can go to Delaware, you can go to Nevada, you can go to Wyoming. Those are the 3 states that offer the best protection. Even, Charles, for single member LLCs, one owner LLCs receive this same protection. Not all states offer that. So the reason we like Wyoming, they have the best asset protection law, even protecting single member owners. They don't list your name on the state website. So you have some privacy. People looking up Charles or, to see what you own, they're not going to find your name on the Wyoming state website. As well, the annual fee for Wyoming is only $52 a year, right? Nevada and Delaware are
forget all that other stuff. I like the $52 argument.
$52.
That's right. Ridiculous. Oh, but I can get a much nicer LLC in Massachusetts for $500. I'm sure.
Correct.
Yes.
You could. But
I get a view of the ocean.
Not the best asset protection. So, so we want to set up these entities to create real and perceived roadblocks, right? Now, the attorney coming after you in the car wreck, he's on a contingency, right, Charles? He gets a percentage of what's collected. And hopefully you have insurance. I always recommend my clients have an umbrella policy of insurance, whereby your home and autos are insured with one company, State Farm, for example, and you ask them for an umbrella policy. And so for an extra $1 million of coverage, it's only $400 a year.
Yeah.
So with enough umbrella insurance and regular insurance, the attorneys know how to get at that money. They're really good at getting at insurance money. They're not so good at getting at these LLC interests, especially when they're going to have to hire an attorney in Wyoming to pursue it. So another roadblock that we've put up here, and it just works well with our clients to have this structure, to have enough umbrella insurance to be protected. There are two levels. You want the first line of defense is insurance. The second line of defense are these entities.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, just the way you answer this question, you brought up about 3 more questions for me. So first off, let's talk about the issue of anonymity. Now, what you mean by that is when I go to sign up my LLC in Massachusetts, I go on the Secretary of State's website and they ask me for my name and do they get my social security number?
No, they shouldn't.
Somebody did.
Well, when you get the EIN for the LLC, you have to give up.
Right. Okay. That's how they got it. Okay.
That's
correct.
Between you and the IRS.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So they get my name, they get my address. I have to put that, I have to list the managers and the members and all that stuff at the start in Massachusetts. Now you're saying in Wyoming, I don't have to list anything? Like nobody knows who I am?
Correct. When the state, when you provide information to the state, they only put so much information on the state website, and they are not listing you as the manager or member of that LLC.
And so, they can't, like a lawyer can't subpoena the records. They can't find out who it was and ultimately.
Of course, they, at some point when you're in litigation, you got to. Okay. Proof,
so
right?
So Wyoming would have to disclose ultimately who I am, but
well, the state of Wyoming wouldn't. It would be when you get sued, you have to, there's a judgment. Okay. You have to disclose. You have to tell the truth when you're in court. Yeah. But I'm saying someone looking to see what Charles has isn't going to see that you have Wyoming LLCs. When they're doing an investigation, they're not going to know that ahead of time.
Okay. All right. Now, I've been told that Nevada and Texas also are the same way as far as anonymity goes.
Not Nevada.
No. Okay.
Nevada lists. So with Nevada, you can use a nominee officer. You can pay for someone else to list their name on the state website. But in Wyoming, it comes automatically.
You can pay somebody to list their name? Like that's a cottage industry in Nevada?
Yes, it is.
Like, wow. I want that job. Like people knocking on my door all day like, no, sorry. No, I don't know anything about it.
Not
sorry.
Me.
Yeah, not me. But yeah, that is my name and $50. All right, now let me ask you this, and this is all in this under the same number 3. Let's say you get in that accident and you're in trouble and you haven't done any planning. You have not set up any private entities. Talk to me about, a little ex post facto type of thing. Like, when you see that judgment coming down the road, that's the time you get started planning everything. How do the plaintiffs think about that?
Well, that's what we call a fraudulent conveyance.
Okay.
And anytime the word fraud appears in a phrase, it's not a good.
It's never good.
So we don't. If someone calls me up and says, God, I've been in this car accident, I want to move my assets into LLCs. For me, it's too late. I can't help them.
It is. Oh, so that's it. You just flat out say, listen, we can do it, but they're going to claw it back. And, maybe we'll protect it for something in the future, but right now you're in trouble.
Well, and here's how I can help them, Charles, is people will get that wake-up call, right? Because they're threatened with a lawsuit. And then when that goes away, they realize that they need to set everything up. So once they're back in the clear, I can help them.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I hope everybody gets that. I hope everybody listening to this podcast gets that point. Don't wait. Just don't wait. I won't get into any personal stories. Not that it happened to me personally, but people in my curtilage, so to speak, to use a legal term. It's a mess. But anyway, okay. Now this next question is one that I hope you answer it correctly. Based upon the type of direction I want to go with the question. But here it is. What's the difference between a member and a shareholder? And I don't necessarily mean the definition, but let's dig into that a little bit.
Well, they're actually the same. It's just a shareholder is an owner of a corporation and a member is an owner of an LLC. So they're one and the same. It's just you got to use the right terminology. And I tell my clients that, you don't want to say I'm a member of a corporation. Somebody may not invest with you because you don't know the right lingo.
Bam, bam, bam. Okay, I love that you just said it. I educate people on the correct terminology all the time. The same way my father used to correct my English, with the pronouns. You've got to say it correctly, because when you're out there telling people, the biggest one I say, well, I'm in a GP.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a GP. Okay, well, send me over the documents. Well, I'll send you over the operating agreement in a moment. Like, no. Okay, wait a minute. What do you mean GP? Well, I'm on the GP side of the LLC. It's like, okay, no. That's a red flag in my book, that these people just don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I agree completely with you, Charles, because when you're out there trying to raise money, there's going to be a certain number of people who are going to judge you by your ability to use the right terminology. And why close that bank vault by using the wrong terminology?
Yeah.
It's so easy to use the right terminology.
But the thing is, people think you can just use all of these terms interchangeably, and you can't, because you can't say, oh, I'm a shareholder in this LLC. Right. Well, no, you're not. I bought stock in that LLC. I love that one. I bought stock in that. Yeah. And it's funny. Oh, I don't have it around here with me, but I have a perfect example of this. I invested some of my 401k money in a friend of mine's bank. He just started a bank, because I said, hey, I'm in, count me in. So I put some of my money into the LLC. So I get, I go to the kickoff meeting and everything, and they're handing out the Post-it notes with the names all over it. And then there's my money billfold thing that says, initial shareholder. I was like, oh, you're kidding me. Oh, yeah. I couldn't tell him. Okay, now this next question is a great one, because I'm telling you, this happens all the time. You're sitting at the first time this question comes up, Garrett, is when you're sitting in front of the IRS.gov website going for your tax ID number, and they ask you this question, and you check one box or you check the other box, and nobody ever knows which is the right one. So I'm going to ask you, for my LLC, should I be a member manager or a manager managed LLC?
Okay, I like manager managed, and the reason is that a member can always be a manager. When we say manager, we're talking about people who run the business on a day-to-day basis. And member manage means the owners are managing the business. Manager manage would include the owners or any non-owners, right? So you could have a professional who doesn't own a piece of the LLC come in and manage it, and he can be the manager manage. But the members can also be the managers, right? In a manager managed setting. So in most states, if you change from member managed to manager managed, you have to amend the articles. You have to go back to the state and amend the articles. So I like having it be manager managed, because that covers all situations. Okay. And you wouldn't have to amend the articles later to make a change.
But Garrett, who cares? Why does the government care whether my operating agreement is a member managed or a manager managed?
That's a really good question.
I get that all the time on my podcast. You'll never believe that.
No, that is a really good question. What's the difference? But I think that in some of these smaller settings where you have members who just, would prefer to keep it close, I think in those situations, people like the member managed. They're not going to bring someone in from the outside.
Yeah.
And that's a level of comfort for some people, I suppose.
Okay.
But for me, you're right. Why did they even ask the question?
I'm sitting there trying to think of, why does the IRS need this? Why does the Secretary of State need this information? But if you're looking to do if you're setting up your entity with a bunch of investors, you're buying a 250 unit apartment complex, I agree with you, Garrett. Go with the manager controlled LLC, because then, you can grab somebody who's a member, and you will probably, and they're going to manage the property. And the other thing too is the manager can be an entity, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now,
so name your asset management company.
You make a really good point, because in a corporation, they don't ask if the president's a shareholder.
Yeah, that's
You know,
right.
they never ask that question on the corporation side.
See, it's my libertarian ways, like trying to keep the government out of my life. Why do they need to know that? Well, nobody needs to know that. So, all right, now, do you really need a resident agent? This is an easy question.
Yes.
And explain why you need a resident agent.
Okay. The resident agent is there to accept service of process, which is notice of a lawsuit. All right. So if you're going to sue someone in the state of Texas, instead of having to wander around the state to find where they are, you can go to the Texas Secretary of State's office, and they'll list who's there in what city to accept service of process, notice of a lawsuit. So that this is true in all 50 states. New York allows you to have a registered agent anywhere, but most of them you have to be within the state. So why is this important? Well, you want to get notice of that lawsuit. You want to be notified on a very timely basis, because in most cases you only have 30 days to answer the complaint.
Mm-hmm.
So you want someone who, when, like for our services, when someone gets sued, we're on the phone with them immediately. We're scanning that complaint to them. We're letting them know immediately that they've been served. So you don't want to use someone, a mom and pop operation, who may not be open for business all the time. And registered agents in most states have to be open from 8 to 5. You don't want someone who's not going to pay attention to the fact that you've been sued. Because if you don't get that notice, Charles, as an attorney, you know, they can go back to court and say, we couldn't serve him. We couldn't find him. Yep. The court says, okay, you can publish notice in the newspaper in that little 2-point type that you'll never see.
Yeah.
And you'll never respond to that notice. And then next step is they get a default judgment. They win the case. So the registered agent is an important function.
Okay, and you have to have the registered agent in the state that you have set up the entity in, not in your home state if it's different. And now, let me ask you: do you act as the as a resident agent?
Yeah, our firm, Corporate Direct, provides that service in all 50 states.
Oh, in all 50. Okay, right. Good. Yeah. Now, you know, you asked this question. I'm not going to jump ahead because I like this next one. And even though we may have already touched upon it, I don't think we really have. Should I use Nevada or Wyoming?
Wyoming. With exceptions. There's one exception.
Okay, go ahead.
Wyoming has.
Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. That's the only thing I learned in law school, is that there's an exception to every rule except for one.
Right. The good lawyer answer. It depends.
It depends. Oh, my gosh. You should see me when I teach my one-day class. I'll put a question up on a board, and, you know, it's like, what do you say? I say this. What do you say? I say this. Like, what? Hasn't anyone learned anything yet? The correct answer is depends. It's always depends.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
Okay. So Wyoming has a little franchise fee. If you have a lot of assets in a Wyoming bank account, you're going to pay a little bit more. In that case, you would use Nevada. But Nevada, again, your name is going to be on the internet unless you have a separate LLC entity to be the manager.
Okay.
Right? So,
all right. Now,
it depends.
Yeah, it does. It always does. How do you think we get paid? You know, because we can figure out when that depends. All right, now this one's a beautiful one. Understanding that you know, I hate insurance. My family's, you know, I own an insurance agency, is one of my family asset. I owned an insurance company for several years. And your question is, I have an LLC, do I need insurance? Because remember, what a lot of people think is, hey, you can't pierce the corporate veil. I don't need insurance. Like, go ahead, talk to me, Garrett.
We do need insurance, all right?
Yeah.
Insurance is the first line of defense. Yes, insurance companies have an economic incentive to not cover every claim, but we want to have that insurance. So if you have a duplex in an LLC, yeah, you have some protection, but if the tenant sues over a problem at the property, you want insurance covering that claim. You want fire insurance. You want to be insured if there's a flood. So insurance is certainly the first line of defense. We want the LLC as the second line of defense, so that if the tenant's claim is not covered, they can't go after all your other personal assets to satisfy the claim.
Okay, now let's clarify this a little bit here, because you're really talking about two different types of liability here. So if you buy the asset, the real estate, nobody. This is what kills me. You're going to love this comment. Nobody would ever think of going to the closing table without having an insurance binder. Okay, the bank wants it. You think, oh, the place is going to get struck by lightning, but everybody hesitates at hiring a lawyer to look over the paperwork and everything, where more claims are going to be covered by a lawyer looking over your shoulder, make sure you're doing everything correctly, than by your building getting struck by lightning. But anyway, I digress. We have the property and casualty policy on the property, but the property is owned by an LLC. Now, right. I'm not talking just. Forget the size of the property. Think about a huge property or think about a small, it doesn't matter. The LLC owns this property. Do we need to buy an insurance policy for that LLC?
Well, here's what can happen, and you well know this. Say you start out and the property's in your individual name and the insurance policy is in your individual name for that property. Then you transfer it to the LLC and you have to tell the insurance company, hey, I've transferred it to the LLC. Title is in the name of the LLC. That's how I need to be insured. And there have been cases in California where companies have used that as an excuse. You didn't tell them about the transfer. They thought they were insuring you personally, and now it's in an LLC, and they deny the claim. So what you do is you say, I'm transferring it into an LLC. Now, some insurance companies will say, well, that's a business entity. We have to charge you a higher premium.
Yeah.
Here's how you skin the cat. And I'm sure you know this. You say, leave the insurance in my individual name and list the LLC as an additional insured.
Right. Another covered insured. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But the other thing too is that let's say you do go out there to syndicate a deal.
Right.
And you have taken on other people's money. You damn well better have a business owner's policy on that LLC, directors and officers protection, fraud, theft, and waste. I mean, if somebody steals the money, you want to be insured for that. So absolutely, when you're looking at, that LLC, you've got to think about a business owner's policy on it.
Absolutely. And if you're going to hire a manager, if there's going to be someone on site, you need employment liability insurance.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a whole lot of money.
Right.
But man, just think about it. If you're taking on other people's money into your deal, just be smart about it. And, protect yourself, protect the company, protect their money. So that's, we're going to give you a B+ on that one there, Mr. Sutton. If you're satisfied with that.
Well, it's better than I got a cow.
That is true. Okay, here's a great question. And I know the answer to this one, and I hope it's the same as your answer. When do you transfer the property into the LLC?
Right away.
Okay, but right away. Okay, so here's the deal.
Well, I mean, if you can transfer title at the closing into the name of the LLC, perfect. Okay.
Well, right? The way we do it is, we write the purchase and sale agreement in the name, Garrett Simpson, and or assigns. Okay. Right. And you put something like that in there because you will never own this property in your own name. You know that, but you have to be able, right before the closing, transfer that contract to your new entity.
Correct.
And right at the closing table. You can literally, and the bank will always ask you, what entity we're going to put this in, 123 Main Street LLC. You can set that entity up 5 minutes before you walk into the closing office. I mean, obviously you're not going to do that, but you could do that and gather all the protections that you're entitled to.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
a lot of people will take title in their individual name and then set up the LLC.
Yeah.
Right. You've seen that. And so you want to transfer title into the LLC from your individual name as soon as you can. As long as it's in your individual name, even though you've set up the LLC, you're personally responsible until title has transferred into the name of the LLC.
Okay, well, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here because I like this next question because this is all, I teach this one to my students and their eyes open because they've never been taught this before. How do I sign LLC paperwork?
Very good question.
Yeah, I like that one. That was your question, by the way.
Well,
You're not supposed to say that your questions are really good ones.
I'm going with the fiction that you wrote these questions.
Okay. I am making it look like it's my homework. I mean, and Garrett, that's the way, if we were in the same study group, I'd be cheating off your papers all the time. So
Come on, let's do it.
let's do it.
You want to sign that contract in the name of the LLC. And so you would put Charles Dobbins, comma, manager. You want the world to know that they're doing business with you as an officer, as a manager of the LLC. Same with corporations.
Yeah.
If you sign your personal name to it without listing yourself as a manager or officer, people can assume they're doing business with you personally.
Yeah.
They can hold you personally liable.
The way it was taught to me in law school is that you sandwich your signature between above it, the name of the entity, and then your name with that title. So your signature is between the two. And as soon as you see that, the court knows you are not signing personally. You were signing as an entity. So
that's good. I hadn't heard that one. I didn't have a good professor on that.
You never had Professor Capani then, obviously. No, you never did. He's probably in jail now. There was another reason why he knew that, I'm sure. So, all right, final question. And this one is going to determine whether you graduate or not. And this one, I'm very excited. The dean has just walked in. He's about to enter to bestow the laurels on you, but we'll see if you get this one right. You ready?
Yep.
Why don't you like a Series LLC? Oh, you were waiting for that one, weren't you?
I don't like them.
I can't believe that.
They're too new. No one knows what happens in a bankruptcy, right? If you make record-keeping errors, you can blow the series protection. As well, in California, the promoters went into California and said, set up these Series LLCs so you don't have to pay $800 per separate LLC.
Yeah.
The state of California came out and said, you know what? We're going to charge $800 per series. So you haven't saved any money in the state of California.
Well, okay, hold on a second. So can you do a Series LLC in California?
You can. It has to be a Nevada Series LLC qualified in California. But if you do that, if you have various series,
I see.
California, it's $800 per series
Okay, so all the sister LLCs are going to get whacked with that foreign entity charge.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. They're going to do that to you everywhere.
Now, why do you like Series LLCs?
Oh, because I tell you, I hate February. Do you know why I hate February? Not because it's a suicide month, but because that's when you have to get all your K-1s put together. Of 9 different entities, 100 different investors. Oh, it was a nightmare. And people call, hey, I got to get my kids, student loans, filed. I need my K-1, and it was terrible. And that was back when we didn't have Series LLCs. I mean, Garrett, you and I are so close in age. You know that back when we were in law school, they hadn't even invented limited liability companies yet.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, back when I had all those properties, I didn't have the opportunity for a Series LLC. So that's why I like it. More for the ease of administration is what I like about it.
Yeah, there's some problems, though. If you mix up the administration, there are problems. And, if you have different owners within...
Well, wait, hold on a second here. The same is true with, if they're trying to go back and pierce the corporate veil, they're going to look to see how you kept your records. And if you, kept them shoddy and mixed them up with your personal accounts, you're going to lose that protection anyway.
True.
Right.
So
I won that argument.
Good. I don't set them up. People call us all the time asking to set them up, and I won't set them up. They're just too new, and people make mistakes with them.
Yeah, but okay. So when you say they're just too new, after following up on my comment about how you and I went when we were in law school, they weren't even teaching this stuff. At what point because obviously now you're okay with an LLC. It's been around long enough now.
Wyoming, 1977.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, you went to California. I mean, went to law school in Massachusetts, and they didn't have LLCs in Massachusetts, so we didn't learn them. You know, they weren't going to be in the bar exam. So, yeah. So
anyway,
all right. Well,
I'm not a big fan of the Series LLC. You know, it's interesting. The ABA is has a program that is trying to streamline LLCs across the country, and when that happens, and we have some case law on it, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But for right now, no.
All right. You know, all valid answers. So I think should we make him the new professor here at Multifamily Investing Academy? I'm talking to the dean right now, and the dean's going to say yes. So congratulations, the dean. You are now bestowed from the dean.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good guy. Wow.
Yeah. So you got that going for you. Huh?
Was he a movie star?
Yeah, he was in that monkey movie. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Okay, good.
I like it.
I got that from my conservative son, the one that goes to George Mason.
Trust but verify.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. What do they call that? What's the Russian word for that? Glass. It's a Russian word for that. It's a one-word Russian word for trust.
Perestroika or whatever.
Perestroika. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, perestroika. Yeah. So I got this bust from my my son who goes to George Mason, the conservative one. My son who goes to NYU. I'm still waiting for the Bernie Sanders bust, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon. So we'll see. Maybe next time, Bernie. Maybe next time.
Well, it's sure that you'll pay for it.
Oh, exactly. And he won't work a lick to make it either. That's for sure. Oh my gosh, Garrett, so fun. Great questions. If you don't say so yourself, but man, that was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with you. And I'm telling you, this is an educational, one of the best educational podcasts I've done, because I am going to be referring people back to this podcast when they ask these types of questions, because I like all your answers, even your wrong ones.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Have them go to Corporate Direct. That's our company.
Okay, corporatedirect.com. His name is Garrett Simpson. Garrett Sutton. I kept saying Simpson. Why was it? No. Because Garrett Sutton Esquire, corporatedirect.com, and and also you're offering a 15-minute review for anyone that wants to reach out. How can we do that?
Well, we offer a free 15-minute consultation with one of our incorporating specialists, and all you have to do is call 800-600-1760.
Excellent, and they just book a time,
and
they get it done. Folks, don't fool around with this. Don't wait until it's a problem. Get this done now. You're looking to get into business to make a ton of money, and everybody else is looking to watching you get into business so they can take your money. So just be wise about this. Get it done. So Garrett, thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Right. Thanks,
I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Take
I'll
care.
talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye-bye.